All right. I did a pre-recording to make sure that my audio actually works this time. And we're about to play coremud in screenreader mode. Now, what I've done here, so here I'm gray. Oh, so let me take a step back. So some of you have been to my channel before. Those of you who are brand new and have never hit this channel before and you're hitting it by mistake, I'm so sorry. This is gonna be a little bit of a train wreck for you. So I am going to proceed to the coremud arena, and I will provide an explanation as we kind of move along here. So first of all, my name is Gray. That's my character name. I am the inventor and owner of the game coremud, and you can visit us at https://coremud.org. And when you visit that website, top left-hand corner, you're going to see the links on how to play the game. And you can either play with a thick client that you can download and install, and that'll give you access to our sounds and some of the status bars that you see on the bottom of my screen. Or you can click the link that says play now, and that will take you directly to a web client. Nothing for you to install. You can just get right into the game and start playing. All right. So another piece of information for you. By the way, this is not my real face because I've got a COVID haircut right now. So it's not happening. It is not happening. I am not showing my real camera. And by the way, I say streaming now, Twitch will upload to YouTube later. All right. So, yeah, this every time I do any kind of a stream for this game, it always ends up being some kind of a train wreck. So I thought I would try one a little bit, earlier in the day before I get too wrecked on, alcohol or whatever you want to say. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about a mini game that is inside of this game. And by the way, again, if you're new, and I have other videos that explain the history of core and the world and our theme and all of this. So go back on the channel and look at some of the older videos if you're interested. And we have a guest streamer who has been recording her own videos. Kind of nice boobs, by the way. And I've got more of her stuff to upload. So there's resources available if this thing is entirely strange to you. My final comment before I jump into the system I'm about to show is that this game is completely free to play, and I do mean free. We're not going to throw microtransactions at you, unlike all the gacha mobile games that are out there. I cannot charge you a dime for anything. So you log into this game and you're going to be playing for free. I guarantee it. And if somebody comes to you and says, well, I'll give you, if you give me $5, I'll give you this, that's between you and them. But that is not on me and that's not on the game. You can play all the way up to maximum level, completely free, and nobody gets any kind of in-game perks for paying money to anybody. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into it. So I'm going to be talking about our game called, a part of our game. So this is completely optional, what I'm about to show. But it is something that people keep asking about, and especially our blind community. So I did a previous YouTube on this, but it was such a train wreck. I never uploaded it, so I'll have to re-record it and try it again. But essentially, we have a blind community. So as you can see on the left-hand side of my screen, this game is text. All the commands you type are text. Everything you get back is text. There's no graphics. It's not like an online, AAA multiplayer game. However, this is multiplayer. We have people on right now. How many people do we have? We have Hello. We got 9 people on right now. Hey, we're not huge by any means. We got 9 people. Okay, whatever. But some people really enjoy this old school game style. And again, because of the bug that's kind of going around right now and still hasn't died off completely, there are people without income. And the people without income don't have the resources to pay the monthly recurring fees that these big time games charge, or they don't have the money to pay for these microtransactions that the gacha mobile games charge. This style of game does appeal to some people because it's free. Um, so anyway, so we got, at peak, we'll have about, 20 people on maybe at peak. I think we've gotten, that was back in our heyday. Right now, I think right now during peak, we get to like 12 to 15 people. It's not much, but, we'll take what we can. We've entered our 25th year, so the fact that the game has survived and we're still going, we have a brand new server. And with that, I'm going to stop preaching. So I'm going to switch over to my test character, Limb. And let's shut off his map and turn it back on. Okay. Where are we here? Apparently my map interface is not working for him, and I don't know why. Okay. There you go. All right. So Limb is at the exact center of the game. So he is at what we call 0, 0, 0. He's at X0, Y0, Z0. He's at the exact center of the map that runs the entire game with respect to anything that's connected to what I call the city complex. So we have multiple domes. I have another video that is available for viewing or listening if you are blind and you just want to hear my voice. And if you do, I'm so sorry. So we're at the exact center of the city. And one of the quests you get very early in the game, it tells you to go to the North Mine. So this character is going to start walking north. He's going to walk towards his mine. And then boom, along the way, you get this quest that's kind of thrown at you called Corquad. And it says, okay, enter the Corquad tournament arena. And it says type quest for more information. So I'm going to type quests. And I have, now this is a little more difficult if you're a blind player and you're listening to this output from the quest command. Basically, you get one line that has the quest number and the quest title. And then the following line will give you a one-line summary of what it is. But if you focus on that very first line that you hear, where it says, whatever the number happens to be, and it will vary by person to person because this is sorted alphabetically. So however many quests that you have will determine where the quest number for Corquad will reside. It might be quest number 1, it might be 2, it might be 3 or 5 or whatever. For me, for this particular character, it's number 2. So if I type quests 2, now it gives me more detailed information. So this would be akin to a AAA game that has like a quest journal where you can access the journal and it's going to give you all the details about the particular step of the quest that you're on. This is okay. This one, I could probably improve this a little bit. So we have to enter the arena, and the description of the room says, if you can see color, it says the Corquad tournament area is northwest. Now, what I'm going to do here right now, this test character is playing in the default settings, which is the settings for a sighted person. So a person has full capacity of their eyes and they don't need any assistance from a screen reader. I'm now going to change my output to be the blind version of this. So if I type, and we have a help article about this, and we've written about this multiple times online. So people who have visited Core and have played our game should already know about this, but I'm going to type it out anyway. So we type SETENV, or setenv, space, and then screenreader, all one word, no space, and then either on or off. I'm going to turn it on. And it says, screenreader mode has been enabled. Some things will be a little bit nicer. So let's compare real quick, because this was the other video that I did that I botched because the first 20 minutes I had no sound. So it was awful, and I'm so sorry for those who were, well, the two of you who are watching the live stream and we're trying to watch through. I'm going to turn it off just for the benefit of those who can see. I want you to think about, especially if any of you, and I know a number of you who follow this channel are coders on other mods. I know that. So consider this. I'm going to type my score command, and you can see we have a very nice formatted, we try to make it as condensed as possible so it can fit on less than one screen. And I'm trying to show as much information as possible all in one screen that is easy to digest. So we see our stats, we see our ranks. Our ranks doesn't really compute with other games. It would be like your class level. But you see other information in the middle of the screen. You see your experience. You see how many monsters you killed, how much money you have. My test character is extremely poor. If he dies one more time, he's going to be out of credits. So I'm going to have to give him some. You know, what's your hit points, current versus maximum? What's your stamina? What is your encumbrance? Are you over encumbrance? It shows it in color if you can see color. Some people that play our game are sighted, but they are colorblind. So, but, haven't gotten too many complaints in that area. Now, another area, skills and stats. Now I'm going to turn the screenreader mode on. And we're going to do score again. Now it's completely different. So what we've done in the what I'll call the screen reader mode is that we take everything that was just displayed in a tabular format and we have to spit it out in words. What we've done to make this simpler for those who use screen readers, if they don't need to see all of this stuff every single time they want to check their score, they can check it by category. So they can say, you know what? I don't want all my stuff. I just want to know my ranks. Or, you know what? I don't want all my stuff. I just want to know my vitals. And the game will recognize that if you've typed the correct word. So score ranks, score vitals. And it'll give you that information only. The other one that's important to know about if you're a screen reader user is the command called info, I-N-F-O. That can give you whatever you want all in one line, and you can customize it. So by default, it's going to give you your hit points and your stamina points and your experience. But you can do other things like info. Okay, so that was bad. Okay, my encumbrance. Info carry tells me my encumbrance. So anyway, let's proceed with the quest. All right. So what I need to do is I need to look at the coremud vending machine, and I can just type L or the word look or EXA. So different mods handle it differently, so we try to accommodate all. So we have aliases for the letter L, the letters EXA, or the word look, or the word examine, and they all do the same thing. So we're trying to make it accommodating as we can. And I'm going to say the very last line of the command says issue deck to get your starter deck. Okay. Now let me look at, now this is enter the arena. And I reset Lim's quest status, so this might not properly work. So Yeah, because I reset him and I reset his deck. I think I probably overlooked something, so I'd have to probably create a brand new character to truly demonstrate this thing if like you're a brand new player. But if you're a brand new player, you're going to do what I just did. You're going to enter the core quad arena. You'll use the machine. When you enter the arena, the quest will advance. It will tell you that you need to visit the machine that you just heard me talk about. You're going to say issue deck. What is my cat doing? I just heard something I didn't want to hear. Okay, she probably jumped up somewhere. And then after you get your starter deck, it tells you to enter this arena and you need to challenge an NPC named Detmir. And he's right here. And I'm going to type the command location. So we have a Cartesian coordinate system, X, Y, and Z. All the rooms connected to the city complex, all of them have a unique XYZ coordinate, with the exception of there's a couple of rooms inside of the cultural district. I'm not going to get into that, but that area is messed up. I mean, I kind of tempted just to close the darn thing off and blow it away and start over from scratch. I mean, like, nuke the thing from orbit. So anyway, so Limb here is in screen reader mode. So as he moves from room to room, or looks at monsters or looks at items, his interface is the same as somebody who's using the default sighted interface, with the exception of a few commands. So for example, if he looks at his inventory, again, other games will have I or INV or the word inventory spelled out, or perhaps the word equip. We try to make it more or less compatible with the others. And the blind version will have it this way. And I'll flip back to the cited version. And the cited version does it a little bit more compact way. But it's the same information. It's just presented differently. And the default cited version would sound absolutely awful to somebody using a text-to-speech screen reader software, because I mean we have all these headers. It would try to read out the equal sign like 40 times before it just doesn't sound right. So that's one of the reasons why we made this screen reader mode, is we started to learn. And really this all kind of came about really a couple of decades ago. I was approached by a blind person, and they said, "Hey Gray, I'm trying to work in your minds, and I'm not understanding this particular command. I can't understand the layout of the mind." And they said, "I'm using a screen reader to play the game's text output back to me." And I'm like, are you serious? Like, is this thing actually possible? And they're like, yeah, I play other online games and I wanted to try out yours, but I'm stuck. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to modify the command. And so I made a blind version of this command in the minds, and this person was ecstatic. And they're like, thank you so much. You're like one of the few developers that have actually responded to me on this matter. And so, this person eventually moved on, but, I kept it in the game because I thought it was a good thing, and, other people have benefited from it over the years. Well, what happened recently, and I'm talking about, so when I'm recording this thing right now, today is, by the way, happy Easter to the people in the Western churches that celebrate Easter today. Today is April the 4th, 2021, Easter Sunday for the Western church. I'm in the Eastern church, so I've got a month to go. Meat's not yet back on the menu, boys. Sorry. But hey, if you're in the West, pig out. You earned it. So anyway, so here we are. So I'd say, about maybe 2 months ago, so back in February 2021, it started seeing all these new players come in, and in the player creation process, there's a the player creation process asks you a few questions. What character name do you want? What password do you want? What's your email address so that we can do a password reset for you in the future, and so on. But one question is optional, and it's, hey, how did you find out about us? And people can, a lot of people just hit enter, leave it blank, move on, whatever. The ones who type in Reddit, oh my God, they're such a problem. I wish we had never posted on Reddit. Oh, what a train wreck. I mean, we got a few good people off of that site, but most of them trolls and a lot of trouble. So, but all of a sudden, I see this name pop up I never saw before. In the, how did you find us? People were starting to say audiogames.net. And I'm like, what is this site? I've never heard of it before. So I went out there, and it turns out that it's a website dedicated to games that cater to people who are either visually impaired, like they need high contrast output from the game so that they can see a little better, like maybe they kind of use software on their side to kind of zoom into the screen so they can see it better, or people who are completely blind. And the people who are completely blind need text-to-speech output from the game that can be understandable. And I'm reading, and then they started posting about us, and they started posting about our game, like, hey, this is a cool sci-fi game, and I just wish they could do this better. I wish they could do that better. And I'm reading it, and I share the info with one of my fellow administrators, and he's like, dude, we need to do this. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we set all of our personal projects aside. What is my cat doing now? Okay. We set all of our personal projects aside, and we said, you know what? We're doing this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make this thing accessible. So we started tackling system by system as problems were reported by the blind. And we said, okay, oh, this is ASCII art. This particular character or this particular room or this particular command, or it's got a table like I was just showing you, or the inventory command that you see on my screen, right? And we started converting this stuff to say the game checks if you have the screen reader mode enabled or not. And if it detects that you have the screen reader mode enabled, it says, okay, I'm going to give you a different output of the command. It's the exact same information that the sighted people get, but now we're going to present it to you in a way that your screen reading text-to-speech software will not be confused. And I've lost track of how many things that we've touched over the last few weeks. We've got a couple changelog posts out on our forum. It's got all the gory details. I'm not going to go into it. So now, with all that said, and this was probably more of a preamble that I wanted to get into, but I really needed to kind of get into the preamble on how we got here. So anyway, I have two characters that are that I'm going to be flipping back and forth in this particular recording. I have Gray, who is the admin, and he is going to be in sighted mode. Screen reader off. Okay. And I have my test character, Limb, and he is in screen reader mode. And he is going to play through the game now called coremud. And I had a very lengthy conversation with somebody earlier today, and this really prompted this recording to happen. So I'm about to explain what coremud is and how to play it. Coremud is our version of the Final Fantasy game called Triple Triad. And I'm not going to tell you to Google it because Google is evil, so I'm going to say DuckDuckGo it. So go out to DuckDuckGo or audiogames.net and search for Triple Triad. There's been just a few games that have attempted to make it blind accessible, and we've just done that. And in fact, I got it completed about 6 hours prior to recording this video. So I'm still waiting for the feedback to come in, but I think it works. We'll see. So what is Triple Triad? So we're about to see. So you take the quest, you get to where Limb is. Again, location, this is his location. He's inside the North Housing Dome. There's a blind equivalent of this command. Now, obviously, when you type compass all by itself, it's ASCII art and it's awful. If you're a screen reader person is not going to be able to figure this out. It's all, I mean, they're going to hear ... pipe ... Yeah, it's just, they're not going to make sense of it. So type compass brief or type location, and you will get location is the quickest and dirtiest way to get your exact location in the game. Compass brief gives you more information about where you are in relationship to the center of the dome that you're in. One quick recap for those unfamiliar with the game I'm describing. The outside atmosphere is poisonous, it's deadly. So not only is it deadly to breathe, but it's freezing cold out there. So without an environmental suit, you will die within about a minute or two. Inside the protection of the dome system, which is where all new players start, it's safe. The domes are interconnected, and this is where we have the Cartesian XYZ coordinate system. X is your east-west coordinate, Y is your north-south, and Z is your up and down. There's another topic. We have a help topic on this. I'm not going to get into it tonight. In fact, I need to make sure I complete this recording within an hour because I'm going to go over to my sister's and have some nice steak for Easter. Yeah, I'm on the Eastern calendar. I need to be in Lent, but if my sister and my brother-in-law are cooking, I'm having what they're serving, and I don't complain. So whatever they serve, I eat. That's the rule. That is the rule. So anyway, so here we are. We're inside the coremud arena. The quest tells you to get to where Detmir is. I have my deck, CQ deck. So this is the blind version of it. It says I have 7 level 1 cards. I can type CQ deck space 1, and I get information about what cards I have. Each card has a name, and each card has statistics for the top, right, bottom, and left sides of the card. So if you have never played Triple Triad before, this is going to be new information for you. So, and I'm going to show it to you visually for those of you who can see what I'm doing. I'm now hopping over to gray, and I'm going to do the same command, CQ deck 1. And this is how it looks visually. And this kind of gives you, if you can see, this one should make a little more sense. But we're going to talk about the blind version for a little bit, and we're going to explain how the game works. So the game itself, so we're talking about coremud, which is an optional mini game inside of coremud. So this is something that if you don't want to do this, you can totally skip over it. You will not be penalized. Just get your deck. So go to the machine that you saw me use earlier. So the coremud vending machine, use it, type issue deck to get your starter deck. And then as you play through the game, occasionally you're going to get a card for killing a monster that you've never killed before. You know, if you don't want to play, that's fine. You can trade cards with other players, and you can say, hey, I've got a level 3 card named this. Here's its attributes, and you can have a player-to-player transaction, and you can sell it for in-game credits. Say, here's my card, pay me whatever, 3,000 credits or whatever you want to do. I don't care. The game doesn't care. But it does have a trading mechanism within the game. If you don't want to play core quad, but you're acquiring cards and you don't want them, there's a way where you can sell the cards to other players. I won't get into that tonight. Um, and I'm not talking real world money. I'm talking about in-game money, which the in-game money here is called credits. So it'd be like other games call it gold or silver or copper. We just have credits, just one currency system. We keep it real simple. Okay, so you've got your cards. Let me go back to, I'm going to show the visual version of this again. CQ deck 1. Okay, so each core quad card has 4 sides. The playing board is flat, so it's a 2-dimensional, a single sheet of paper, if you will. And you play your cards face up. So everybody sees what your card is. So they see that your card has, say for example, if I were to play this quail card here, the top left corner of my screen, you can see that the top face is a number 6. I'm having actually a hard time. I probably need to change this coloring because without my glasses on, I'm actually having a hard time reading the screen. Left is 2, right is 2, and bottom is 1. Okay. So how this works is that when it's your turn, you get to place 1 card in an open space, and you can choose whichever space you would like. If you put your card next to your opponent's card, so this is a player versus player game. When you do the tutorial, you're playing against a NPC character. The NPC, by the way, so this is Detmir, the guy that's in the room here with me and with Lim. Detmir is stupid, okay? He doesn't think, and he puts his cards in a, he just picks a card from his deck. He puts it in an open spot, and he doesn't have any strategy whatsoever. So as long as you are thinking strategically, you can beat this guy. So this is your introduction to Core Quad. I'm going to show you just in a moment how it works. And we're going to do it as Lim in screenreader mode, and then me as Gray as the observer. I'm going to show it to you in the default sighted mode so you can see the differences between the two. So you can see kind of how I attempted to arrive at a compromise. Again, I'm waiting for feedback from the blind community to tell me if I did it, if I hit the mark or if I missed the mark. So I don't know. We'll find out. So let's get back to let's go ahead and just kick off the game, and then I'll kind of explain along the way. So I'm in the room. You type to kick off, and the quest tells you to do this, and I just apologize. I apparently didn't. Lim completed this quest earlier today in blind mode, and I tried to reset him, but apparently I didn't do it right, so it's not giving me the instructions. You type the word challenge, and typically you type the name of another player, and that player can be anywhere in the game. They're going to get a message saying, hey, you've just been challenged to a game of Core Quad by Lim. Do you wish to accept or do you wish to refuse? No penalty if you refuse. So if you refuse, you just type the word refuse. It comes back and Lim says, okay, Gray doesn't want to play with you. And you move on. In the case of Detmir, he's going to accept. So I'm going to type challenge Detmir. Oh, apparently I did not reset him correctly. So you know what? I apologize. In that case, we're going to play against Gray. Challenge. So now we're going to do player versus player. In this case, player versus coder, but Gray will not cheat. So Lim has just challenged Gray. Gray says, hey, you have been challenged to a game of Core Quad. Gives the coordinates to the gaming room. It says I can accept or decline. And it also says if the gaming room has a limit, which this one does, It says, okay, basically both of us are going to be restricted to our level 1 cards only. So it's going to be completely fair. I cannot throw a level 10 card at Lim because he only has like level 1 and maybe 1 or 2 level 2 cards in his deck. That's all he has. So I'm going to accept. So we are on equal footing now. The first step is you type CQ deck to view your deck, and you just saw me do this just a few minutes ago in this recording. CQ hand right now is empty for both of us. So both of us have an empty hand, and what the game is telling us to do is that we need to move 6 cards from our deck, in this case our level 1 deck. So again, I have levels 1 through 10 in my deck, but right now, because of this particular room that has a level cap, which tells us this right here, I'm going to highlight it. So if you're a screen reader person and you enter an arena room, the very last thing after it lists the exit out of the room is it says this tournament arena has a card level cap of X. And there's one arena room in the arena area that is unlimited. So if you enter the unlimited and you challenge somebody, anything goes. So if you've only got levels 5 and 6 and they've got level 7 and 8, don't cry if they kick your ass. Unlike the real game, real world version of marbles, you will not lose a card from your deck if you lose. So if you lose, it's just a status. Excuse me. It's just a status thing. There's a ranking system, but cards captured during the game will not be lost. So you walk away from the arena with your deck intact. When you play against Detmir for the 1 and 1 only time, you will get some bonus cards added to your deck as kind of a reward for finishing the quest. Okay. The other thing to note is that once the game has started, so both of us have accepted, and there was a message saying that there is once both of us commit. So when I commit my hand, and when Lim commits his, then there's going to be a 30-minute timer that kicks in. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go CQ deck 1. And I'm gonna try to pick. I'm gonna be a little bit strategic on my side. So I want a card that is strong on each of the 4. I want one card that's strong on top. I want one card that's strong on left, one strong on right, one strong on bottom, and then maybe some balance cards. At level 1 deck, your choices kind of are awful. I'm going to add, so we're going to go hand add is the syntax. So for those of you who are blind and cannot see my screen, it is the words hand and add, all one word, no space, and then you type the name of the card. So I'm going to add cricket. And this is okay. You've just moved the cricket card into your hand. The CQ deck command, whether in visual or screen reader, names the card, gives you the 4 faces of the card, and tells you how many you have. So I'm just going to quickly, so that this recording doesn't get too long, I'm going to hand add Tarpan. He's got a strong bottom side. I'm going to do hand add Water Snake. He's got a good top side. We're going to do hand add Waste Worm. He's kind of balanced. What the hell was I thinking? Newbie. Not doing that one. Let's do Cockroach. Got a good right-hand side. I hate roaches. Okay, so I got 4 cards in my hand. And again, if you can go CQ hand as a reminder to say, okay, I've got 5 cards in my hand is what it's telling me. I have to add 1 more before I can commit my hand. So again, CQ deck 1. And we're going to do... So I got a right hand side. I don't know. This is just for a YouTube tutorial. I'll do spider, I guess. Okay. So CQ hand, I've got my 6 cards. I do have an opportunity to, if I'm not happy with what I have right now, I could remove one by typing HANDREM as in hand remove. And I put the name of the card and it takes it out of my hand. But now I'm going to do commit. It says you commit your hand, further changes cannot be made. Now, what does the other player see? The other player doesn't see what I did other than it says Gray has committed his hand. So at this point, you can think about all of my 6 cards are face down. So my opponent cannot see, in this case is my test character Lim, and this is not fair because I'm playing both sides here. But the idea here is that when you play against a real player, you don't know what they have in their hand, other than the room that you're in controls the maximum deck level that a person can have. They're required to have 6 cards up to the maximum of whatever level the room allows. So now I'm in blind mode and I'm going to be, now I'm Lim, and I do C deck. It says, okay, I've got just 1 level and I've got 7 cards of that level. And here's what they are. So this gives me the same information just presented in a different way. And it says, okay, it lists the name of the card, how many I have, and then it gives me the information about the sides. And the final part about here's how many are in circulation, that's irrelevant to how you play this game. This is just more informational. If you're a collector and you're looking for a rare card, you're going to get those rare cards when you're a higher character level and you're in a quest area and the quest rewards you with a card, or you kill a character or NPC or monster for the very first time and it's a high level thing, and if it happens to have a card named after it, you're going to get it, and the circulation values are going to decrease as you go up and up. And we have cards named after senior players. We have cards named after the coding staff. There's a card named after me. Because I'm a, what do you call it? Megalomaniac? Is that what it's called? Probably. You know what? There are people watching this channel. If there's anybody watching, and there might be not. Let me just check my studio. Yeah, there's nobody in the stream chat right now. So, you know, maybe somebody will comment and say, yeah, you got a real problem with your ego, dude. You named a card after yourself. You know what? It's my game. I made it. I can do what I want. All right. So here we are. Let's just go ahead and get some cards in the deck and or in the hand, and let's get going. So I'm going to do hand add. I'm just going to do 1 of each. So when you're brand new and you have just your starter deck, you're probably going to do what Lim here is doing right now. It's not going to be too strategic. You're going to say, look, I got to pick, 6 cards and I only have 7 to pick from, right? So you're probably just going to say, you're going to go down the list of what you see. I've got, oops. I don't have newbie. I thought I did. Okay. CQ hand says I have 4 cards in the hand. CQ deck 1. Why couldn't I do newbie? Is that a bug? Oh, okay. Oh, cockroach. I missed that one for some reason. I'll probably have to go back and you move it into your hand. Okay, I got to do 1 more. We'll just add quail. Got another one. So CQ deck tells you these are the cards that you have. It doesn't say what you have in your deck. The CQ deck is how you know what you've put in your deck, right? Sorry, CQ hand. Okay. CQ hand tells me I have 5 cards. It gives me the name and it gives me the sides, and it doesn't confound me with, how many cards are in circulation. Again, this is for the purpose of the challenge that Lim has issued to Gray. So the number of cards in circulation is completely irrelevant at this point. I have to add one more card and add, we'll just do one more quail, right? Okay, then Lim commits. Okay, both players have committed, and it says Core Quad has now begun, and now there's a 30-minute timer that kicks in. So there's a random toss. When you play against Detmir for the newbie quest, Detmir is always going to win the toss. It's programmed in, and like I said, he plays like he doesn't know what he's doing. So he's just going to pick stuff at random, and he's going to basically try to throw the game to get you to win. Even if you lose because you don't understand the game, you'll still complete the quest and you get the quest reward. But you get a little bit extra reward if you win the game against Detmir. Okay, so Lim has won the toss. So let's take a look again at the room. And now I'm going to explain how the game works. So in blind mode, it tells you, it tries to say it in words. Those of you who can see what I'm about to type on Gray is going to be a little bit more instructive. And so here it is. Core Quad, again, is Core's version of the Final Fantasy minigame called Triple Triad. Triple Triad was a grid, 3x3. Core, because I'm evil, I did 4x3. So we basically have 4 columns designated A, B, C, and D, and 3 rows designated 1, 2, and 3. So each spot on the board, if you can imagine the game of bingo or the tabletop game called Battleship, it works along the similar principle in terms of how we name the spots. So A1, B1, etc. The top left corner of the board is designated A1. Bottom right-hand corner of the game is designated D3. So those are your spots. Each player gets 1 turn. And in 1 turn, you can place 1 card, and that placement is permanent. So there's no take back, there's no undo. Once you place a card on the board, it's there. And so here's why you need to understand how the game operates. Again, we're talking specifically about Core Quad, not my game Coremud as a whole. We're talking about the minigame. The minigame works according to these characteristics. You place a card, and for those of you who can see, you can see on Gray's screen that he has 6 cards he has yet to play. When it's his turn, Gray will be able to place 1 of them. And you can see each card is numbered. And on Lim's screen, which is in screenreader mode, he gets the same information. It's just presented differently. There's no ASCII art whatsoever. It's simply saying, it gives a brief recap of how the board is laid out. It says exactly what I just did. And oops, I need to modify this text. Columns A through C. No, that's A through D. So that's my bad. I'll fix that. I'll fix that within an hour. I'll fix that actually immediately after I complete this recording. My bad. Columns A through D, rows 1 through 3. I apologize. I'll fix that. Gives you a reminder of how the cards are laid out. You get 4 sides. Top, right, bottom, and left is how the card sides are listed. Right now, there's nothing on the board, so the blind version says it lists out all the spots that exist, and it says whether the spot is empty or whether the spot is occupied by either you or your opponent. So what I'm going to do, so it's my turn, and actually I need to add this information. So I'm going to open up my notepad real quick. You can't see this, but I'm going to say Core Quad, blind, add whose turn it is, add, and then fix columns A through C should be A through D. So we are taking, at Core, we are taking this stuff seriously with respect to the blind support, because during peak playing times, we'll see anywhere from a third to a half of our population is blind. Only me and the other two admins that help me run the game can see that information. So if a person is blind using a screen reader for whatever reason, and they don't want to disclose that information to anybody else, we're not going to tell anybody. So that's between you and the rest of the playing community as to whether or not you want to disclose that. So we keep, you know, especially myself and my main, well, I have two admins. So aside from myself, there's a person named Steve. Excuse me, having hiccups here. Person named Steve and a person named Nigel. We consider this information to be sensitive, like HIPAA stuff, and it's a health related thing. So we're not going to put it out there. I have a command I can type as an admin where I can see who is using a screen reader and who is not, and this just informational so that I can see. If somebody's telling me that they have problems, I can do a quick check and inquire with them privately. Is it because you're using a screen reader, or is it because the game itself is just unclear in general? And then we can kind of drill into it. Otherwise, one player cannot know what another player is using unless that other player discloses to everybody in the public chat or in private. They say, hey, I'm blind, or hey, I'm using a screen reader. If they choose to disclose that, okay, it's out there. But us admins, we're not going to disclose that. We're going to say, hey, so-and-so, I see you're using a screen reader. Would not do that in public chat. That's private stuff. Okay, moving on. So I gotta start moving along a little more quickly because I'm in my 30-minute timer. So it has told me that the game will end at 15:32 local time. What is the time? Okay, it's 13:09 right now. So I gotta get my motion and gear here. So I'm going to try to capture A1, which is the corner, top left corner, and I want to, if I can, if I have something that is, if I have a strong bottom side and a strong right side, excuse me, and I want to put that card there. The top side is irrelevant right now because if I put something in A1, then that is irrelevant. So I'm going to say, okay, I've got a top of 1, so I'm going to place in A1. I'm going to put card 2 because card 2 has a top of 1. It will never that card will never capture anything to the top of it. So I'm going to throw it up there at the top. Boom. It says, okay, Lim just put Ferret in A1. What does Gray see as a sighted player? He sees Lim put Ferret in A1. It's now my turn. If I type board again, now I visually see the ASCII art that says, okay, space controlled by Lim is colored in red, and I can see he owns the A1 spot. And again, it gives me a reminder. Now I can do a couple of things. I can either try to capture his card, or I can try to capture one of the other corners. Me being a jerk, I'm going to try to capture his card, because if I notice here that his right-hand side in A1 is a 3, how does a blind person see that board? It shows, oops, I still haven't fixed the darn color code. I got to fix that. Darn it. So it says red player, you. It should be showing this in red, so I still haven't fixed the darn color codes, but it shows the sides, and it gives us a reminder of what the sides mean. And it shows that the right-hand side is a 3, and the bottom side is a 5. Now, if I flip over to Gray, it's Gray's turn. If I can capture his card, I'll be in a pretty good position that A1 will be mine forever. In this round of the game, anyway, because his bottom side is a 5. So he's got a 3. So if I've got a card that is better than that, I'll capture his A1, and now I just have to worry about defending the card that I just put down. And it looks like, from looking at what I have, I have three choices. I can put my card number 1. I can put my card number 2, or I can put my card number 6. Those are the ones that have a left-hand side that is greater than 3. So this is the conversation I had earlier today in the game. So I was explaining the game, and they were saying, wait a minute, you're talking about a two-dimensional board? And I said, yes. It's imagine a flat piece of paper that you put on the tabletop. And he says, okay, then how do I visualize the fact that each card has 4 sides? And I explained to him what I'm explaining to you right now. So the thing is that I can play smart or I can play stupid. So if I play stupid, I can just pick any card and just throw it down in any spot. Or I can try to be strategic. And the strategic part is where this game gets a little fascinating. So for example, I'm going to play maybe a little stupid. I'm going to put my card number 2 in spot B1. And I'm doing that because my card number 2 has a left-hand side of 4 and has a bottom side of 5. So it'll be defendable, except I have a problem. My Achilles heel with this card is its right-hand side is a 1. So it could be captured from the other side. So it tells me gray has placed the card in the spot, and boom, I just captured a space. So this is strategic. I'm assuming that Lim is going to try to capture my B, and it's going to be very difficult for me to uncapture it. In fact, I won't be able to capture his card. If he captures B1, and he's going to do that, let's see if he can. Board. Okay. Says, okay, opponent has now controlled A1 and B1, and all these other spots are still empty. So I can either say, yeah, I'm going to let him have it, or I can be a real jerk and say, no, I'm going to go after this guy. So this is okay. B1, once I understand the layout of the board, and if I can visualize it in my mind, so a blind player is going to be much more challenged playing this game. But we're giving them the same information. They just cannot see it visually. But once you've got it in your head, a blind person should be able to kick the ass of a visual person, provided that the blind person has a good deck and they know what they're doing. So I'm going to be a blind person. So, okay, you know what? I'm going to go after gray. Okay, so gray took my card, and I can't take it back because the bottom of card A1 is a 5, and I don't have a top that is a 6. Or do I? No, actually I do. Okay. That's right. I have I have 2 cards as Lim that has a top of 6. Right? Because again, the numbers as a blind person are read back to me as top, right, bottom, and left. So I've got a card that can beat Gray's. Gray has 2 5s on the bottom, and I have a card that can grab either of them. And I'm going to let's just for fun, let's capture one. I'm going to say place in, I'm going to go 1 row down. So now I'm going to put a card in row 2. I'm going to put a card in A2. And I'm going to put my card number 1. And this is not probably the best choice because this is not easily defendable. But Lim just captured one of Gray's cards. If I go back to the visual, now it's Gray's turn. I type board again. Now we can see, as a visual person, 2 cards are red, 1 is green. Green is me, the 2 are my opponent. So now Lim has captured A1 because he smartly picked the card. As Gray, I didn't know he had this card. Again, you don't know what cards your opponent has face down. When the stuff is put on the playing field, it's all face up. And I got to make sure I don't run out of time. So I got maybe just under 15 minutes left, I think. Okay, I'm going to see if I can capture his. So there's no way I can retake A1. That card is now locked in. It's surrounded on its 2 sides. The other 2 sides, top and left, are irrelevant because he's on the corner of the board. Say, okay, you know what? F you, Lim. I'm going to put this weak card My card number 4 has a bottom side of 1. Bottom side of 1 is a good place to put a row 3 card. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put I'm going to put place in spot A3. I'm going to put a card that can capture A2 and be defendable on the right-hand side. I'm going to put my best right-hand defense. So I'm playing this game a combination of aggressive and offensive. I just captured his card. So now, from a numbers perspective, and sometimes Mudlet does this. Let me just, if you're doing visual and you see weird stuff like what you just saw, sometimes Mudlet doesn't handle the carriage returns, and I don't know why. Okay, so now I've just flipped the tables. I've got a card that is probably impossible for Lim to capture unless he has a left-hand side that's a 6. And I have no idea what he has. Let's find out. Board. Okay, so as you place your cards remaining in hand says this is what you have left to play. Okay, let's take a look. Can I capture the A3 that Gray just put? It shows me that the right-hand side is a 5. Do I have a left-hand side that's 6 or higher? No, Lim does not. So Lim is not going to be able to capture that card. Is Lim going to be offensive and try to capture the A2? So A2, I could potentially capture A2 if it says, okay, right-hand side is a 2. Does Lim have a left-hand side that's 3 or higher? Yes. No. So left is the final number that is read back to us in blind mode. And Lim does not have a card. Now, Gray doesn't know this. You and I know because we're watching the YouTube. Gray has no idea that Lim is incapable of recapturing this card. So Lim now Lim pretty much, if we take a look at what's available, so Lim cannot take A1. Can Lim take B1? So that is top row, second column. So we can capture from the bottom or we can capture from the left. So what's the bottom score? Is a 5. This is going to be a very difficult card for Lim to capture. Lim has exactly 1 card he could use to try to capture this thing. So I'm going to do it. We're going to say place. So I go 1 row down. B, column, same column, but now we're going to go 1 row down. I'm going to put my 1 card that can capture the top, and that would be number 4. Boom. Okay? Lim just captured a space. The game progresses. Okay? Board, singular. Okay. That says, okay, the tides have turned. Lim has 3, Gray has 2. Okay, panic time, right? Well, maybe or maybe not. So I have a couple of choices. I can capture B1. That's easy because Lim made a real stupid mistake. Lim put a card in B1 where the right-hand side is a number 1. So if I can put one of my other cards that is somewhat defendable, I'm going to put place C1, my card number 1. Not the best choice because I am exposed, but now I've got a 4 on the right-hand side. And again, I'm thinking I'm playing against an opponent. I know my opponent is playing with a level 1 deck. And now we're starting to run low on cards. And I've just captured it. Okay? So now I have 4, Lim has 2, but Lim still has a fighting chance against me. Lim can, if he has a top-facing card that is better than a number 2, he might be able to capture this card and defend it. So let's see what we've got here. So now I'm going to flip over to Lim. Again, I'm playing both sides. Normal player is not going to see what I see, right? It says, okay, I've got 3 cards remaining. And I've got 3 plays left, and I better start making them really count. So I say, okay, I'm going to be a jerk. I want to capture what Gray just did. And I look at what Gray just put in C1. And again, you can play this game many different ways. So you don't have to use my strategy, but I see that in C1, on the bottom side, Gray put a card with a bottom score of 2. That's a weak card. Can I capture it? Do I have a top card that is better than 2? Yes, I do. I have 2 of them. I've got a 3 and I've got a 5 in the top position. So those are my card number 2 and card number 3 as Lim. So now I have to be careful. If I can use either of these cards and easily capture that thing, and it's going to be hard for Gray to recapture because his right-hand score I can see is a 4. So Gray would have to sacrifice his. If Gray has a 5 or better left-hand side card, he's going to have to put it in the D1 spot to capture it. As Lim, I have no idea what cards Gray has. So I have to be careful if I'm going to attack Gray, so I can play defensively and say, you know what, I'm going to grab the last room. I'm going to grab one of the 2 corners. I'm going to grab D1 or D3. Those are the 2 remaining. Is it 2 corners? Yeah, there's 2 remaining corners, D1 and D3. So what is Lim going to do? And now he's got very little time left. He's only got about 6 minutes or so before the game timer ends. And I'm going to look at perhaps extending that. The game normally runs a lot faster because the person is not narrating to YouTube what it is that they're doing in their strategy. So what do I do if I want to take Gray's card? Do I want to? I have 2 cards that can beat him, but I want to have a good card that's. And here's where my problem is. I've got a Achilles heel in Lim's deck. His bottom sides for the 2 cards that can capture Gray, and I'm going to do this just so you can see. So I'm going to go hand. I'm going to go place in the bottom. I'm going to go place column C, row 2. I'm going to put one of my cards that can beat Gray's. I'm going to try to capture him from the left. So I'm bad. So I'm going to try to capture the corner, and I'm going to try to capture Gray at the same time. So I'm going to say I need a left-hand side. Oh, I can't capture him from the left. Sorry, from the right. Gray's right-hand side is a 4. All my left-hand sides are 1s. So that's not going to fly. If I'm going to capture Gray's card, I have to do so I got to capture his bottom side. That's the only side of his cards that's exposed. So we're going to have to do that in C2, and I have to have a score of 3 or better. My tops are here. We'll try number 3. Okay? Let me just capture the card. What does it look like visually? Okay? So now again, now the game is looking kind of interesting, right? If Gray puts a card in D1, it's going to be a defensive mood because I cannot capture C1 because Lim has a right-facing side of 4. I can't capture him. I can't capture C2 from the left-hand side. Sorry, from the right-hand side. I'm doing this too long today. But I can capture and keep his B2, and I'm going to do exactly that. We're going to place in B3. I'm going to capture his B2 card. I have to have something that's better than a 1 and is defendable from the right-hand side. My options are pretty awful. If I do this, see, all my cards that I have left are strong top-facing cards. Again, Lim doesn't know this. So I'm going to say, yeah, okay, whatever. I will put, I have 2 cards that can capture his B2, and that's my card number 1, card number 3. Both of them have a very awful right-hand side ranking. Or I could try to say, I'm going to be defensive. I'm going to take D3. And you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to capture the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm going to put a card that's going to be hard. I suspect, I don't know. but I've now got top 4, left 4, I think, as a player. And again, I don't know as Gray. I don't know what Lim has. I think this is going to be a hard card to defeat. Flip over to Lim. Okay. I got 2 plays remaining as Lim. So again, as a blind person, I have to read through this very carefully, and I may extend the timer so that instead of 30 minutes, maybe it's 45. Because as playing through this from a blind player's perspective, I am struggling a little bit. So we're going to go place. I have essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 things to play to consider, and I'm going to see if I have something that can capture Gray. Right hand side. Ooh, I might be able to capture Gray. We're going to go row 3, column C. I have a right hand side of 6 that can capture Gray's 4. I just captured Gray's card. Okay? And now Lim is got the bottom right hand corner, and there's no way Gray can capture that. Gray's cards, he has 2 3s. The best that Gray can do would be to put, and Gray's going to capture 2 cards right now. So this is where the strategy can work against you. I'm going to put in B3 my card number 1, and I'm going to capture 2 cards at the same time, and more than likely Gray has just won the game. That being said, Lim now has 1 card remaining. He's got card number 1, and he's got 5311. I got to hurry because I'm about out of time, so I'm just going to put just to wrap up this recording because I want to have some Easter food. My sister will put in D1, and finally Gray has 1 last card, and we're going to do place. So you have only 1 choice left. And I captured a card, and it says, okay, here's who the winner is. And you get if you win, you get a card awarded to you as a bonus. It does not come out of your opponent's deck. So the opponent sees a message saying, oh, I take it back. Oops, I lied. Okay, it did come out of my opponent's deck. So what happens is that if you win, it does work like marbles. So I forgot about this. It's been a while since I've looked at that part of the code. So if you lose, the game picks a card at random out of your deck and gives it to the winner. So, sorry. Now there's lots and lots of ways in the game to get more cards. So if you are a new player and you haven't gone through the city sewers yet, if you go through there, you're going to get cards. So you just kill stuff. There's lots of things down there like sewer boa and waste worm and snake and other things, water snake, that if you kill it for the first time, you're going to get a card as hey, you killed something brand new, and oh, by the way, there's a card named after it, so here's a new card. So I hope that this little walkthrough is instructive, and I'm just interested if you can, those of you, either if you're sighted or if you're blind, I would like you to try to play through this mini game inside of coremud. Again, the mini game is called Core Quad. And now that we've won the game and the game is done, there's no board, and now everything's fresh. If you want a friend to look over your shoulder, one thing to note before I close down this recording, your friend needs to enter the Core Quad arena with you before your opponent accepts the challenge. Once the opponent accepts the challenge, the doors into the arena become closed. There is a betting room, so other players, and I gotta refresh my memory as to where the room is, and it's somewhere in the arena area. But there was a mechanic back in the day that I added that allowed other players to bet in-game currency on the outcome of a game, of a Core Quad game in progress, and people could bet credits, and then whoever wins or loses that determines who gets the credits, and it just kind of comes out of the pot of the money that was the in-game credits that were deposited. So with that, I hope you all have a good, happy Easter. For those of you who celebrate it, those of you who are on the Eastern calendar with me, well, we got to fast for another 4 weeks. All right. And for those of you who don't, hey, that's cool. Hey, make all the peeps jokes you want. Just don't make the zombie Jesus stuff, okay? That's so offensive. and I'm not easily offended, but that one is up there. So anyway, be happy, be safe, and come play core with us. Again, it is coremud.org is the website. Go to that website. Top left corner has the links that you need. One link will give you the thin client that lets you get in through the web immediately without having to install anything. The other one is a thick client that you install. This is the client that you've been seeing me use during this video. And when you connect, there's actually an entry, coremud. So you don't even have to know the server address and the port. You just click on that icon and you can start getting in and you start playing. So the benefit of that is you get sounds. So you don't get sounds with the web client. You do get sounds with the thick client called Mudlet. There's other clients that also play sounds. Our blind community is really struggling right now with this, getting the sounds to work. There really is not a good Mud thick client that does the screen reader output and also handles sound. So it's been a very interesting struggle. If somebody who's watching this is able to figure it out and makes a revision to an existing client or makes a new client. I know there's a bounty out there where somebody's offering, I can't remember how much money it is, like I think it's $800 US to make a plugin for Mudlet, which is the client I'm using, to do screen reader output. Somebody wants to fulfill that bounty, you can Google it. Sorry, don't Google. DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo it. Hey, if you do that, you're going to have a lot of friends online. Or if you make your own client or modify one of the other clients and make a plugin for one of the other clients that can do sounds. It's called MSP, Mud Sound Protocol. Or we also support, and this is what Mudlet uses, GMCP. GMCP is what Mudlet uses to render the sounds and also render the status bars that you see that you've been looking at on my screen as I've been talking. And if you have questions about GMCP, Steve, who just logged off, Steve's the guy. He has been writing all of our integration for coremud. Sorry. It's been a long day. And it's only 3 o'clock, 3:30. Steve has been doing all of our GMCP integration for Core so that Core can integrate with the Mudlet mapper. Gosh, I am struggling today. Okay, I'm going to end the recording now before it becomes a train wreck. So hope you're happy and be well, and I hope you enjoyed the recording. Take care.